Hello, I'm Tobias Turley.
I'm Henry Calvert.
And welcome to a musical edition of the Scenestealers.
Yes, welcome back to the Scenestealers, and this time we're back talking about musicals.
Woohoo!
We've had a couple of film-centric episodes, and now we're back talking about truly what rests at the heart of both of us. Musical
The homeland, the
theatre.
motherland.
Exactly. Toby, would you like to tell the people what we're talking about this week?
Yes, so I think this week we're going to go through and break down kind of the evolution of musical theatre very briefly. We've also got a few questions from you, which you submitted on the Scenestealers Instagram account, which we will cover. We have, of course, the return of Turley's theatre interviews.
Thing.
We still haven't come up with a name yet.
Yeah.
We're recording this straight after the last one. So we haven't actually been able to see what you guys would like to call it.
Yeah.
So we're still just using a made-up name for now. But that will be back again, and then we're going to be ending the episode by building our own musical. And that will become clear when we get there.
But to start, I think, should we start at the very beginning? A very, very good place to start.
Yes, people always ask me, like, I always say there are about 5 different types of musicals, right? And it all stemmed originally from like operetta and opera, back in the days when, you know, opera was a big thing, especially in Italy, and it came over here. And our community, society didn't necessarily gel with it too much. So we started adapting it and changing it, especially in America. The Americans were very good at it. They kind of started this whole revolution, turning an operetta, as in Showboat, the first musical, in air quotes, into a show. So they kind of like, they knew about the opera and they started using that style of singing to turn it into a musical, to make it a more relevant story. And a lot of the time when this was happening, it was during like the 30s, when war was obviously the main talking point of everything. During like the period between in the Second World War, people needed distraction. Yeah. And that wasn't necessarily happening with the opera. So that's when they started writing musicals, which we now know today as like the golden age. This is when like the Rodgers and Hammersteins were starting to come around.
So when were Gilbert and Sullivan a thing? Was that in the early
That's like the
stages of
operettas. That's the operetta,
okay.
yeah.
So
like
that's like Pirates of Penzance.
Pirates of Penzance,
The Wizard, was it called?
HMS Pinafore, the Mikado, all of that stuff is very much operetta, which I'm not going to lie, I don't know too much about.
Yeah.
But the history of musical theatre, boy oh boy, I'm like the sun. You can't turn this off.
Okay.
So yeah, it was in the early 30s, late 30s, early 40s, sorry, where Rodgers and Hammerstein started creating shows for a distraction for people and for the soldiers coming back. So it was in this era when we got like the Oklahomas, the carousels, because it was that idealistic lifestyle back in the day, like the American
Seven
dream.
Brides, Seven Brothers.
7 Brides for 7 Brothers. Like, it was a distraction from the war. You know, the life on a farm and finding the love of your life, as in Oklahoma, or the, you know, following your dream, not following your dream, sorry, like having a child and wanting to take care of them, as in Carousel. Obviously, he dies, spoiler. That's when all this started coming about, and this is now known as the golden age of musical theatre. So yeah, your Rodgers and Hammersteins, your Ivan Novello, a bit more operetta, your Gershwins, your Irving Berlins. Yeah, this is personally my favourite time of musical theatre.
Yes.
A Carousel is one of my favourite musicals of all time.
Oh right. I love Seven Brides. Seven Brides
you love a Seven
I love
Brides.
Seven Brides, Seven Brothers.
And of course, this is like the Gene Kelly era.
Yeah.
It might be a bit early for maybe when was he, in like the 60s maybe?
No, Gene Kelly's around in the 50s.
Yeah.
Fred Astaire was earlier. Fred Astaire was in kind of the late 30s through the 40s into the 50s.
Yes. And this period from like the late 30s until 1965 is what we call as legit musicals, because it uses a legit style of singing. Like, they believe that proper singing is opera, right? So that's why it's called legit, because it's much more like operatic. If you listen to like
Howard Keel,
or like any
there's a bright golden haze on the meadow.
Exactly. There's such a distinct difference in that voice type to any musical we have now today.
Yeah.
But even so, like when those shows are being revived, they generally like them being done in that style of singing. 'Cause that's how it was written.
Of course.
But you've got like there's so many classics, like all the classic movie musicals. Your On the Towns, your Brigadoons, your My Fair Lady. A brilliant time for musical theatre, I would say. What are the ones from that kind of era do you like? I mean, obviously Singing in the Rain.
Yeah, Singing in the Rain. I like Funny Face. Well, this is the thing. I think I've mostly engaged with like the movie musicals of that era.
Yeah.
So yeah, Calamity Jane.
Annie Get Your Gun.
All of that kind of stuff. It's Guys and Dolls movie.
Guys and Dolls.
Time.
Yeah. So that's the main composers from this era. So the few I mentioned there, Lerner and Lowe. Your Charles Strauss. I can't think of any more now. My brain's gone blank. Let me have a look through my Spotify. But this era is what kicked off musicals in general and becoming like this high-end type of entertainment. And it rarely changed for a while. Now I say we have like different types of musicals coming out the wazoo.
Oh yeah.
Like every few weeks. But that's obviously because technology's changed and society's open to wackier things.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day, they were obviously very set in their ways. So what other ones have we got here? Like An American in Paris, which is Gershwin, obviously. And what I find funny about Gershwin, he died not too late in his life, but all of his shows have like the same songs in them. So like you could find the song I Got Rhythm in a number of his shows. Swanderful is in a number of his shows. There's one other one in this. Because he also wrote The Holiday Inn, which has Swanderful as well. It's the same with Irving Berlin. In like White Christmas, the same songs from White Christmas are in a few of his other shows. Don't know why they do that. I think it's just because they were massive hits at the time.
Yeah, I guess they'll sell records, won't they?
Yeah, exactly. And so this period kind of came to an end in 1965 with the release of the musical Hair.
Right.
So anytime before 1965 we call legit musical, that legit style of singing, that there's a bright golden haze on the meadow, all that kind of stuff. The low larynx, operatic-esque sounding. And yeah, 1965 Hair came out, and at the time this was a crazy notion because they started using electric instruments. They started using a different style of orchestra, a different style of music writing. It's the first time that they'd actually used like pop culture music rather than more classical music writing as an operetta, which I think is very interesting because that's quite late. Like rock and roll was around for a while.
Yeah.
So I don't fully understand why it took so long, but I'm glad it did because Hair is an amazing musical. Do you know Hair?
I don't know Hair.
There's a brilliant version of the song, I think it's Dawn of Aquarius, sung by a guy called Michael Kilgore, who has the voice of an angel. Like, it's just been gifted from God. His version of that is phenomenal. Go and listen to that if you haven't. But then this kicked off like what we now call contemporary musical theatre, despite being in 1965. Seems like ages ago. And then, this is when you get your
Sondheims.
Your Sondheims and your Jason Robert Browns and your
Yeah.
Lloyd Webbers.
Right, okay.
This was when they really came in. Like Phantom of the Opera came in like the 80s. And without that synthy sound, it never would have existed.
I find it interesting that we're still kind of bunching together the likes of Andrew Lloyd Webber and Stephen Sondheim in with kind of this new wave of...
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, they it's so distinctly different.
Yes, well, Andrew Lloyd Webber a lot of the time writes what we call contemporary legit, which is like a bit of both. It's like Phantom of the Opera, for example, is a perfect example. Written post-1965, but is intended to be sung in the style of pre-1965. Like, it's called Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, of course.
It's very obviously an operatic style of singing. That's why that falls into that category, because obviously some of those musicals do still come out now. Light in the Piazza, for example, very operatic, but it came out in like 2000, written by a guy called Adam Gattell. And so like that's another subsection that's come out through this post-1965 section. So I'm trying to think what else there is. Like Anastasia, the Disney musical. Obviously it's not Disney, is it? But that's very contemporary legit.
Yeah.
So there's that category, which we don't see too much of nowadays. But it is a nice way of harking back to the good old days.
I grew up on the
sly, in the gutters and the streets of Petersburg.
Yeah.
Just a kid.
It's great. It's really good. If you haven't listened to Anastasia, go listen to Anastasia.
Great song. That
really
was a second year project for my year group. Half of us,
I farted for a... So good.
Half of my year group did Anastasia and half my year group did Spring Awakening, and then COVID hit. So we actually never got to show each other the final project.
What did you do?
I did Spring Awakening.
Oh, that's cool.
I played Hanshin. I think it's Hanshin.
Oh no, German Child number 4. Like
no.
They all kind of blend into one.
No, I had a great number. Hanshin is the guy who, how do I say this delicately? Fillets himself on stage. Try not to get demonetized.
Okay.
Spring Awakening's an odd one. It's about so many dark and...
Spring Awakening's a very interesting one. I remember I was in New York for the first time, and I booked tickets to go and see Steve Carell, Alfred Molina, and Nick and Oni Rose in Uncle Vanya.
Yeah.
I booked to go and see it like 3 or 4 weeks before, just a random night about 2 weeks into their run. Anyway, I show up in like jeans and a polo, and everyone there is in suits and gowns.
Really?
So I went up to the hostess. I'm sorry, am I here on the right day? She went, oh yeah, it's opening night. I was like, no, it's not. You've been open for 2 weeks. She was like, oh no, that was all previews.
Previews, yeah.
This is our opening night. And as she says that, Bryan Cranston walks past.
Oh.
With Steven Sater.
Shut up. I've met Steven.
Yeah, interesting.
Steven Sater's a very cool man, great composer.
Likes a hat, a fedora, doesn't he?
Loves a fedora.
Yeah.
Loves a fedora.
But that's certainly delving into more kind of contemporary...
Oh, yeah.
Contemporary themes and contemporary music.
Spring Awakening must have been like early 2000s.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But yeah, this is when, like, after people saw the success of Hair and the change of music, that's when everything kind of burst wide open. And a lot more musicals became more contemporary and pop, and it still took a little bit of a while between like 65 and I'd say like the 90s maybe, whereas like, a lot of musicals that come out nowadays, some of the songs you could hear on the radio and think this might just be a pop song. This might just be a pop song. God, it's very loud outside, excuse me. But yeah, like I said, this is when like the Sondheims came in and like Sondheim changed the game himself. There are so many singular people you can kind of see when their first ones came out that instantly changed the games. Like Sondheim's first piece of work was West Side Story as a lyricist for Leonard Bernstein, who was a massive opera composer and well, obviously musical theatre, but he was very operatic. And then once he started doing his first work, that changed the game again, because like his way of writing music is famously very complicated and whatever, but it's the way he wrote his lyrics changed the game.
Right.
So if we look at Company, for example, Company...
You're going to say the Bobby thing.
Yeah. Have I said this before?
Yeah.
Well, like...
Say it again.
In that section of the opening number...
Bobby, baby, Bobby, booby.
Thank you, sir. That is written how we would speak it. Bobby, Barbie, Bobby baby, Barbie baby. It's written in the like the in the way we would speak it.
Yeah.
Which no one had ever done before. Or maybe they had, but like not for such a consistent amount of time. Like that whole show, it kind of goes, especially when you look at the Patter song, like, hello everybody and I thank you all for coming, whatever. Like, it's just speaking.
Yeah.
But with music, and it means, it changed the game. Like, so many people do that now. Like, Jason Robert Brown openly says how much he learned from Sondheim. So
Lin-Manuel Miranda as well.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Very inspired by that kind of talky way of...
Exactly, yeah. And so from like the 65 to the 90s, the Sondheims, the Webbers kind of changed the game again. And then post 2000 is where we get into really contemporary stuff. The rise of the jukebox musical, which Henry disdains, changed the game again.
Because then, like, what's the point in being creative? We'll just kind of pick songs out of a hat. Like, I don't know, let's just put Katy Perry in a thing about Anne Juliet, like Romeo and Juliet. Oh, I know, Katy Perry and the Backstreet Boys. It's genius. It's not. It's cheap and it's lazy. Clip that.
Okay. But the jukebox musical changed everything. Disney changed everything when they first opened Lion King in 85, 90, something, 95. So there are certain companies as well that changed the game, and that's kind of to where we are now. Musical theatre hasn't changed too much in the last 20 years. Since 2005, like I said, when the jukebox musicals were starting to arise, like the Mamma Mia's, the We Will Rock You's, we've been on a steady chain since then of new jukeboxes or original music with very poppy contemporary feels,
or taking the films and
taking the film, well, exactly. Then when all that kicked off, that kind of changed everything again.
Ruined everything.
But those are like the pardon me. Those are the big stages in musical theatre to kind of get us to where we are now, and where we are now is a very multicultural space of musical theatre. We have musicals coming out about absolutely everything, every place in the world, every type of people. It's amazing, but it does mean we are getting a bit more drab musicals. Like, they're just so out there that they're a bit odd.
Yes. I mean, the more the more dishes you make, the more likely one is that one's going to be a bit crap.
Yeah, exactly. And although it's weird, we've gone through nearly 100 years worth of musical theatre, and it's still hard for new shows to be made and come about because of the funding from the friggin' government. But obviously here in Britain we have some of the best new work being made, which is really good. And it's the same as America, like Joe, the Little Women cast album that I was on. That's
Make sure you listen now.
Yeah, stream it on Spotify. That's a new contemporary legit musical theatre piece. So over here we get lots of new pieces, which is good. Which is really lovely. But yeah, that's a little brief history of musical theatre.
From musical theatre man himself, Tobias Turley.
Yeah, obviously there's a million more parts to explain why it's evolved so much and whatever, but I think those are like the keystones to kind of how we got to where we are today.
Yes, and it's like we say, it is a very exciting space to be in. There's plenty of new shows being made with different musical genres and everything. It's a very cool place to be and
there's something for everyone
with.
Now, I'd say. Whereas like back in the day, it was all, obviously the plots changed, but all the music was very similar and whatever.
If you like rap, there's musicals based around rap. If you enjoy
country, there's Lloyd Collins has yodeling in it, and there
really is something for everybody. So I don't subscribe to this. I don't like musical theatre. I just don't. No. You just haven't
not
found,
like musical theatre.
You just haven't found the show for you.
Correct.
And that's the joys of life, isn't it? Finding new things to enjoy and experience.
I hope you enjoyed me ranting a little bit there, trying to explain musical theatre in like 15 minutes, wherever it is.
Well, that's I think you did it very concisely. Very well done, Mr. Tobias.
Thank you. Now it is time.
Your degree wasn't a waste.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Now it is time to go into the unnamed section. Turley's theatre talk,
Takes.
Interviews, something, with another amazing guest. Hello and welcome back to My Roof, or the segment still doesn't have a name, so we're going to call it Toby's Theatre Thing for now. And our next guest is the second of the two best friends. We've seen the first, here's the second. Who are you? Well, that sucked. But please welcome Keelan Macaulay.
You haven't asked me.
I know. I was going to see if you, any first words. Who are you?
Keelan Macaulay.
Okay. What is your favorite musical?
Right now, probably Little Shop of Horrors.
It's coming back next year.
Yes.
Keelan's going to be in it. First, what is your first theatre memory?
Hairspray National Tour came to my city in Canada, and I was so young and I was tripping out because I loved the movie and I watched the movie a lot with my sister. But then when I saw the show, I was like, I didn't understand. So I was like, oh, it's the movie, but it's like on stage and they like got all the same people. Like that's just like crazy. Like, yeah, that's my first memory.
What is your favourite theatre?
Soho Place in London, because it's like brand new and the backstage is just so nice and so air conditioned.
And first West End show?
And first West End show, but I'm really missing the air conditioning.
The aircon.
Right now in the theater I'm currently in.
Good. Is there no aircon at the
No,
Trafalgar?
there is. It's just like the building's like 700 years old or however old all these theaters are.
It's older than America. What is the best audition song?
Girl, Can I Kiss You With Tongue from Crybaby. Because, you know, if a panel's watching like 100 songs, that's a song that they might not forget because it's kind of like a bit of shock value.
It's a rare one as well.
It's
Not many people use it.
Raunchy. Yeah, it's a bit raunchy, you know.
Good
like
song.
What's the word? Ride the Line, I guess.
What is an overrated musical?
I'd say Wicked right now, just because I enjoyed the movie more. That's all I'll say.
Fair enough. And what is an underrated musical?
Bubble Boy. Bubble Boy by Cinco Paul.
It will be Chloe.
Yeah. I mean, there's some problematic bits. If it was going to be put on today, I'd say that they need to change some things. But I think that at its core, it's a great show with great music. And like no one really knows about it.
I'm sorry.
But go listen to Bubble Boy.
Yes. What is the best performance you've seen live?
I'd say Ben Platt and Dear Evan Hansen. I was lucky enough to see it in New York when he did it. And I was like a teenager at the time, but I was in that teen phase where I was like, oh, I don't cry at movies or shows or anything. And that man made me cry. And it was great.
Beautiful show. What's a show you want to see revived?
Be More Chill, but not the most recent version. I want to see the Two River Theater. I think that, like the original regional version of it. I think that the original regional version of the show. I think that's the best. I think
Is that not the one they did on Broadway?
No, and it's not the one they did on the West End. It's like they made a lot of changes to it, but I think that the original version is the best, in my opinion.
What is your dream show to be in?
I've already said this as an answer, but I will say Little Shop of Horrors.
Cast him. Thank you very much, Keelan Macaulay.
Oh, I am liking this new segment.
Me too. I think it's really fun.
It is good fun. Nice and snappy. I'm quite.
It's nice getting out and about and talking to people about what we love.
Exactly. It's very, very good fun.
And hearing different opinions.
Yeah.
Like obviously my favourite show is different to your favourite show, and it's different to their favourite show. So I love hearing why. It's so fun.
Yeah, exactly. So we will bring more of that in the next week's episode.
But once again, give us more ideas for what to call this segment. So hopefully next week we will have a proper name for it.
Exactly.
Is the idea.
Next up, we asked you guys some questions regarding the theatre industry over on the Instagram. Tobias, that was over on the Scenestealers pod Instagram. So if you guys would like to have your question featured in a future episode, make sure you head on over there and answer some of our Q&As as and when we do them.
So Scenestealers Podcast is the Instagram account. So here we go. First question is, are we going to be getting another live podcast?
I really hope so.
Me too. We both really enjoyed that, didn't we?
I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I think it would be a wonderful thing to do again.
I'd love to do another one. I think we've got some good ideas for it, don't we, in the back of our brains?
Indeed. It's ticking away. So thank you for that question. Immy Dawes,
and of
123, thank you.
One more little plug. As we mentioned in the end of last episode, we're going to be starting a Patreon for this podcast. And anyone who joins up will be directly helping us to improve and continue our podcast. And one of the tiers is you will be getting early access to any further live shows we do.
Exactly.
So that's a nice little link. Number 2. What job do you think you would be doing if you never went to drama school? I would still be playing sports. It'd probably be handball still. I used to play handball for England and I gave that up to go to drama school. or focus on going to drama school even. And so I probably would still be doing that.
I did go to drama school.
For how long?
A month, maybe a month, if that. I barely showed up to any lectures because I was busy at work stuff.
So you'd probably be doing exactly what you're doing now.
I'd probably, yeah. But I mean, if I, let's say if everything didn't take off online, I probably would still be teaching up locally in North Yorkshire, teaching drama locally. I love that.
How do you... Oh, that question was from Imi Dawes as well.
Yeah.
Who's Ramona asks, how do you go about learning script, songs, dance numbers, etc.? Dance numbers, it's just repetition for me. Going over it numerous times at home, as many times as I can in the room. I've got quite good pickup, which just means being able to watch someone or hear them explain it and being able to do it. I think a lot of good dancers have that. But it's just about... What are you laughing for?
Well, I have good pickup, and I think a lot of good dancers have that pickup.
Shut up.
That's a skill a lot of good dancers
Shut up. Script, I think everyone has their own little method. Again, it probably is just repetition. I do what's called uniting, which is a way of breaking down a script into units and sections. So the units are the larger part of the script, which don't exist in the script, but you create them yourself, and a unit changes every time there's a change in time, a change of scenery, someone enters or exits. There's another one. What are you looking at?
No, I'm just...
He's giving me the eyes. That's when a unit changes, and within a unit are sections, which change when the thoughts change. So, for example, first page of a script would be Unit 1. Unit 1A, for example. I'd go in that, and then the characters are talking about the same subject, change of thought, end of the section, so that would be 1A. Then the next section would be 1B. Next section would be 1C. When the unit changes, that would become 2. And then I would go from the start, making sure I learn section 1A, learn that thought. Making sure I can do section 1A. Then I would go learn section 1B, making sure I can do section 1A into section 1B.
Right.
Then learn section C and making sure I can do sections 1A, 1B, 1C all together after I've learned that. Then that gives me way more depth about the scene, because I've read it about 20 times by that point. That's just the way I break down the scene, because it also helps me to think about what's happening in the scene, what my objective is, all this kind of actors jargon, whatever. That's how I go about doing it.
Interesting. That's
what about
right.
yourself? How in the past?
I sing in the car.
Yeah, songs. I think it's...
I don't know, songs that you just gotta sing it.
Yeah, if I'm just learning the words, I just listen to it a million times. If I'm just singing it for something that doesn't really matter, I just want to learn the words, I'll just sing it a million times.
But I think once you get into the rhythm of it, I'm not gonna lie, like I can learn a song after about 5 listens. Like it can be locked in.
Yeah. But I think if I'm planning on singing it for something important, I'll learn the words. I'll go through a lot of technique on certain parts just to make sure I've got... Because it's not necessarily just about... Say, for example, I'm singing at a concert in 2 weeks' time. I don't want to just know the words. I want to know exactly what bit of technique I'm using on certain lines, if it's higher, what I'm doing there. So I also have to try and learn the technique and use that as I'm singing. So I'm learning the technique and the singing. But who's around it? Thank you so much for that. Liberty Gill asks, I'm interested in applying for GSA. How did it benefit your training and career? How did GSA...
I will be honest, I've loved everyone that I've met from GSA. That I think GSA seems to create some very nice people.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, and him.
On that, GSA have the smallest acceptance people, smallest acceptance numbers. Someone's at the door.
2 secs.
I'll continue. GSA have the smallest acceptance numbers, so they take 20 now. But that means it really does shape your character and your individual personalities while you're there, because that's exactly what they look for, which is, I think, kind of lends to what Henry was saying about them being generally really nice people. And I think being around those amazing people and great characters shaped me as a person today. Also, those number of 20 in a year. There was 35 in my year. It's now gone down since. It means there's way more one-to-one time with your tutors and your professors. And rather than at a place like Art Said, you take about 60, Bird, you take about 200, Lane, you take about 200. You get way more one-on-one time and personal training, which I think makes you immediately a better performer. I wouldn't be the performer I am today without them. Henry's just received a Karate Kid box of some sort. But yeah, GSA changed my life for the better. Oh, goodness.
The joys of being an influencer, I get sent random stuff. This is a Karate Kid bag.
Where's your mic?
A Karate Kid...
Is that a bandana again?
Tea towel? I do get sent some clobber. A Karate Kid tea towel. Some Karate Kid chopsticks.
Chopsticks?
Is it a tea towel? What the blazers is this?
It's like a flag.
I think it's a flag. It's a flag. And some Karate Kid chopsticks.
Lovely.
There you go. Thank you, Sony.
Thank you, Sony. So I hope that answers your questions. Good luck with your GSA auditions. Molly XX942 asked, what was your dream school? GSA was my dream school.
Central.
James Futural 101 asked, would you be able to explain legit and contemporary musicals? Hopefully that episode has done this.
That we didn't even know that was on there.
Perfect. Fiends 35 maybe. Do you have to have experience when booking a theatre job, like training, etc.? It depends on the job. A lot of the times, even now, I'll go in for large jobs, large roles, and they'll go, "You're just a bit too young, a bit too inexperienced," or something like that. That happened to me less than a year ago. Whereas, if you've got a drama school backing you, you don't necessarily need work to get work. You know, like in some like bankings, they're like, "Well, you've never had a financial experience, but I've just come out of uni training for financials."
Yeah.
What do you mean? Whereas, you know, lots of grads go straight into shows in the West End or touring. So no, you don't need. I never had any pro credits before I went to GSA. I just went to GSA and that name backed me. Love for JD asks, how do you know if an agent is right for you?
I can't speak about...
Sorry, it's kind of just me, isn't it?
In a theatre sense. I can only speak to that in an influencer sense.
Yeah. It's hard to know. You just know. Before I was leaving GSA, trying to arrange getting an agent, I had meetings with about 5 or 6 different agencies, which I narrowed down from a few more offers than that. And you could just instantly tell there's a connection.
There's just a vibe.
There is a vibe, yeah. My current agency, I gelled with instantly, and I signed with them pretty soon after. I had a second meeting with them just to kind of reassure myself that this was the right agency, and it absolutely was. I had a great time talking to those other agents, I really did, and I feel like I would have done well with others.
It's just how you read them.
Yeah, it's just how you read them. I really got along well with the 2 agents I spoke to on the day, and I'm still with them now. So that's just, you know. Yeah. It's like when you meet a new person, you go, we're going to be friends. You know?
Or you're not. Or you're
not, yeah. What is the audition process like? Would you say it is extensive for
drama school?
Ivki Toam. For drama school,
yes.
It is extensive, but it's not too bad. Sorry.
Well, I mean, they whittle it down from the first. I remember when I did it, it was like classical monologue, so that's like Shakespeare, a contemporary monologue, and 2 songs. 2 songs.
Yeah, it depends on the drama school. I think GSA asked for a contemporary monologue, a contemporary song, and that's kind of about it. And then in the recall, you do a song from their list. But Art Said asked for like a classical and a legit song and a monologue.
But then if you get called back, they might be like, look, we want you to do this dance as well, or something like that.
Exactly. So drama school,
so it's like 3 or 4
changes.
rounds.
I said GSA, I had 2 and then an interview. Art Said, I got cut after the first audition.
I think it's about 3 on average, probably.
For shows, generally it changes based on the show. I went in for Joseph. I got to the final 2 people for Joseph, and I had about 6 rounds for that. I was in recently for probably won't say the name of the show. Got to finals. That was about 6. I had 6 rounds total. So it depends. But I've also had jobs where I've done one round and been offered it. You know, so it just depends on the show.
He's just a good dancer like that.
Shut up! Oh my! I've skipped through a few here. What was your favourite part of drama school? The social aspect.
The one
I think.
friend I made. I had two or three friends.
Did you?
Yeah, Phoebe.
Oh, that's more than I would have thought.
And so, brilliant. Well, that rounds.
Yeah,
up,
we'll pause it.
That
there.
rounds out questions, and now we're going to end things with a quick game of building our dream musical. We're each going to pick a director, a theatre, a setting for the musical, and 2 leads. So, you can start things off.
Thank you. I think I'm going to go...
No, director or I think we said composer.
Composer.
Even,
yes.
not director. Yeah.
Composer, setting, theatre, 2 leads.
Go on, you go first.
I'm going to take composer out the gate.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of big names here. I'm going to go with Stephen Sondheim.
Okay. It's not ideal.
Has to be, really.
I'm going to take... Oh, I'm going to take Jason Robert Brown.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
I like Jason Robert Brown.
Yeah, I really like Parade.
Okay, I'm now...
Yeah.
I'm now gonna go for...
Go for theatre. Well, no, it doesn't matter.
I know. I think I'm going to go for one of my leads.
Okay.
I'm going to take... Oh, this is really hard. I'm going to... I can't say me, can I? No.
No.
I'm going to take... Oh, I don't know. I'm going to take...
You've said. Bloody come on.
Jamie Moscato.
I'm going to take Mandy Patinkin.
Oh, you're going classic. Okay. You could choose whatever genre, whatever category you want, you know.
Well, I just think it's easier to edit it.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Theatre. I'm going to go with Drury Lane.
I'm going to
a big
go
space
for... Is it the Garrick?
The Garrick's nice.
Is that the one that has that Imelda Staunton play on at the minute? I think it's...
No, possibly actually. I think the Garrick's where like City of Angels was, My Sons Are Queer, Bonnie and Clyde was at.
I like the
Why Am I So Single was there.
Yeah, the Garrick. I've seen a lot of the Garrick. The Garrick's quite intimate.
It's very intimate, it's nice.
I like the Garrick. Yeah.
Okay. For setting,
yeah,
I'm going to go... Are we talking like...
Time and a place.
Okay. I'm going to go 1920s New York.
I was going to say something like that.
Yeah, I want it like in like a Bronx Tale kind of vibe, but slightly earlier.
I'm going to go for 1880s, like late 1800s Belgium.
What?
I like Belgium. It's nice. I've got a Sunday in the Park in my head, and that's set in France.
Yeah, it is. Okay. And for my other lead, I'm going to go with... I've got Jamie Moscato. Maybe he needs like an old female mentor in this for some reason. Like
he's being led down the wrong path in 1920s New York, and
by some gangsters.
And his great aunt's helping him through.
Yeah, I like that. So I'm going to go...
His great aunt's dying, and he needs support her, so he's getting tied up in the mob.
I'm going to go Imelda Staunton.
Okay.
Stage royalty.
Okay, I'm going to go with Mandy Patinkin is in 1800s Belgium, being soundtracked by a Jason Robert Brown score, and his daughter is played by
Nicole Scherzinger.
his daughter is played by Sarah Bareilles.
Oh, okay.
I really like Sarah Bareilles.
I kind of see that.
I could. There's something there, and they're on a farm, and it's a farm life, and maybe there's
You've written Oklahoma in Belgium.
maybe maybe Mandy Patinkin's being like sent to prison or something, and then I've written Parade, and then Mandy Patinkin is being like outcast by his town, and Sarah Bareilles is trying to win them back on side.
Well, let us know who won that. Is it my 1920s gangster New York film musical starring Jamie Moscato and Imelda Staunton, composed by Stephen Sondheim?
Or is it my 1890s or is it my late 1800s Belgian Tale of Woe, starring Mandy Patinkin, Sarah Bareilles at the Garrick, as scored by
Jason Robert Brown.
Yeah.
Can you name one other show Jason Robert Brown has done?
Parade.
Yeah, another one.
Last 5 years.
Very good. Very good.
That's
Honeymoon in Vegas.
kind of the big two.
Honeymoon in Vegas. What's that other one he did? I don't know. Don't care. Either way, thank you so much for coming to join us once again
At the Scenestealers.
Yes, make sure to follow myself on Tobias_Turley on Instagram.
I'm Henry Calvert.
Yes, and follow the pod on Scenestealers Podcast on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all that goodness. Don't forget, we will be releasing a Patreon very soon as well. So keep an eye out for that. And we thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Ta-ra!